trading card game space is in a renaissance era, and these 5 games we're going to talk about today are going to stand the test of time and be the top 5 games of the future. And if we're going to start anywhere, there's one more deserving than all others, and that is Flesh and Blood. Why? Well, it is the game that proved that in the modern TCG space, a new card game can come out and do numbers and carve out its own place within the community, within the niche. The list that we're going to talk about of these 5 card games are all, to varying degrees, already successful and will continue to be successful. And in my opinion, Flesh and Blood started it off and proved that it could be done. And from a unified small developer that doesn't already own a bunch of IPs and a bunch of other games or systems or things like that. Why is Flesh and Blood going to be successful going forward? Well, they are about to hit their 5-year anniversary this year in October. When October rolls around, this game will have been around for 5 years already. It has released numerous sets. It is coming off of the best set of all time, in my opinion, in heavy hitters. It is entering into the set you're looking at right behind me, which is poised to be just as good, if not better, in part the Mistveil. It just released in Japan. It is starting to really push into Latin America. It has worldwide language support in a variety of different languages, and it has the best competitive scene and OP system on the market today. There is no reason why this game doesn't just continue to expand and explode time after time. The company is completely financially sound, owes no debt to anyone. They can just print and make things as they see fit. The only way this game changes is if the company decides to wash their hands of it and sell to someone else who just puts it in the ground. There's no way that's going to happen. The team is too passionate about this game, and I am too passionate about this game as well. This is my favorite game of all time. I am passionately embroiled within it, if that's a way to put it, and it is going to be one of those games that just stays the course and cements itself for years and years to come. Moving on to the next game on our list, if you watched the video I released earlier this year on the top new TCGs in 2024, you remember me talking about Star Wars Unlimited, and yeah, this game came out and it did numbers. It was very and is very successful. It's pulling in players left, right, and center, and it's doing so off of 2 main premises, in my opinion. One is the IP. Of course, people are going to come and play Star Wars. Anything related to Star Wars will generally be successful as long as it is a fairly decently made game. And that is the second point. This is better than a fairly decently made game. It is easy to pick up. It's easy to relate to. The more I've engaged with this, and the more I've talked to my friends who have engaged with this game, the more I realize how easy and how accessible this game is and how well designed it is as well. I was blown away as I started to get more into it by just the overall play of this game, and that coupled with the IP and an organized play system that's being managed and starting to kind of roll out over the coming months is going to make this game really go far. The one hang-up is the same hang-up that it's always been for Fantasy Flight games. The player base in the community asks the question, will this game just be sunsetted at a random point? Will the dual suns fade on this property for something else Star Wars down the line? And I think the answer is no. I think that they have a winner on their hands. I think that they're committed to it. And you can see the player base eat this up if you go to your local game store. Like, the local game stores in my area have cemented a day, or in this case, I should say, multiple evenings for this game to be played, and people are coming out for it. This is a game that you need to keep your eye on if you haven't already. It's already on set 2 coming soon, and people are already going to start eating that up. Like I always say, it takes 3 sets to see what a game is really going to be doing. I think that as we get to its 3rd set, at the end of this year, towards the end of this year, that we're really going to see this game just cement itself in the marketplace and in this community at large. The third game on my list has rapidly become one of my favorite games as well, alongside of Flesh and Blood, and that's Lorcana. Here's the thing. Everyone joked and everyone made their comments about how Lorcana is essentially like, what, a cash grab, or not even a game, or competitive players would be diving into, like, Ursula decks, or, like, Toy Story discard, and people made jokes about that. And I totally get that, because it does seem funny on the face of it. But this is a well-designed game that plays incredibly well, that has universal appeal. Universal appeal. Like, we're talking IPs. This is one of the top 2, 3 of all time. Disney, period, end of story. And the team at Ravensburger put together such a good game, and they're continuing to release good product after good product. I should do an entire video on what people thought Lorcana would be and what it's actually become. I'll probably do that. Leave a comment down below if you want me to do that video. I'm probably gonna do it anyway, but I'd like to hear your thoughts, because this game continues to go from strength to strength. Look, if you're a collector and you're a nostalgia, like really enjoy the old school IP that you grew up with, this game is for you. You can collect it. If you enjoy playing a game that is fast, fun, pick up and play, drop, like the games are over in like 10 minutes, this game's for you. If you really like grindy, like thought process, like rewards for your strategy, this game is also for you. They're releasing a PvE set, which is that right there. They're releasing a multiplayer, you buy it from a box, essentially a board game, which is what Ravensburger is very good at, product that you can play with your family at home. I can play this game with my kids, and I oftentimes do, and I can't say that about every game. This one is a winner, and it will continue to be a winner. My only complaint with this game, this is my only complaint, is that the 3-month rotation of cards, or not rotation, the 3-month release of new sets, for me, is slightly too long. If they move to a Flesh and Blood 4-month release of products, it would be literal perfection. This game is hitting on every possible cylinder, and I mean, I could go on and on. I'm gonna stop there, but it's worth probably having the conversation about. So, hit the subscribe button and the like button or whatever, and I'll do another video specifically about this, because it deserves to be talked about. The next one, yep, you see it there, is Grand Archive. Now, I had 2 games in mind for this slot, because I believe in 2 different games for this kind of area, and the first one's Grand Archive, and that's the one that I went with. I'm also big on Alpha Clash, and they're starting to push some stuff out, which is really exciting to see. But why Grand Archive? Well, they have just concluded their first year. They have just successfully run a world championship event. They have just completed a tournament circuit, an organized play tournament circuit, and all of those were unequivocal successes. Is that how you say that word? Unequivocal? Yeah, one of those words. It was a hands down success. All of them were. People showed up and played, and not even a small amount of people. Grand Archive has shown that you can start on Kickstarter, and if you are committed and you know what the market needs, and you shift away from Kickstarter and move into distribution, you can be successful. They are continuing to release sets. They are obviously very successful with regards to their organized play up to this point. And honestly, they're doing it better than any of the really indie TCGs on the market. Period, end of story. They're like showing how it's done. And they've done this, and this is the biggest thing to me, they've done this from their own IP. Like, this is an anime TCG in a very crowded anime TCG space, and it's their own complete IP. They're not like shoehorning another IP in just for extra clout or pulling extra player base in. No, they're literally just creating their own thing, and it's successful because of the work that they're putting in. It's a fun game as well. By the way, you should just go watch the coverage for the World Championship. It's a good time. The coolest thing about the company that's running this is that they've screwed up. Like, this hasn't been a perfect run. Like, they have made mistakes, but the moment they make those mistakes, they reflect, they change, and then they make some restitution to those changes. And that is the hallmark of a successful long-term business venture. I won't even say business venture, a long-term plan or thing that you're doing at home. Make mistakes, learn from them, and don't stop. That is number one. That will give you long-term success in whatever you do. YouTube, work, doesn't matter. That's what they're doing. It's why I believe very heavily in that game going forward. And the final TCG, let's be honest, you probably could have guessed it, is this one. Look, here's the thing. I have left the big three off of this list because they are already the big three. Your Magic the Gatherings, your Pokemon, your Yu-Gi-Oh, right? But out of all the games that we've talked about today, One Piece is the one game that could arguably already sit in those games of the future, or top 4, maybe even top 3, depending on who you talk to, games of all time. That's crazy. That is bonkers. That is absurd. Now, as far as the game is concerned, I think the game is fine. I think it's a reasonably fun game. I think that it is doing numbers because of a variety of big success reasons. And one of those is the IP. We've talked about it with a variety of these games. IP is huge. IP is incredibly important. It is the first thing that people see. The aesthetic of your game, the characters that you're playing with or as, is a massive draw for players. And this is one of the biggest IPs of all time. Even alongside of the likes of like your Lorcanas, your Pokemon, like that sort of thing, the IP of One Piece, the success of One Piece. I can go to my middle school. I'm a teacher, by the way. I can go to my middle school and I can ask kids if they've seen One Piece. The answer is yes. They have seen One Piece. And that is huge. That's a huge draw for people. That's a huge draw for players of games. That's a huge draw for kids. That's why that is already successful. Couple that with the fact that they've been releasing set after set. They have a long-term plan in place, and they have organized play that people are ravenous for. Like, this game is one of the most played games at LGSs in my area, period, end of story. More so in some cases than Magic the Gathering, more so than Lorcana, more so than Star Wars Unlimited, more so than, like, name the game, and this one is just stealing market share left, right, and center. All 5 of the games we've talked about today, in my opinion, have a huge chance to be a game of the future, to be that game that lasts forever, that people think of as the big 3 down the line. Like, these games have the capacity to do it. And in my opinion, One Piece is almost there already. So tell me what you think about these 5 games in a comment below. Are you already playing one or more of them? As I've said, I'm personally a huge stan for Flesh and Blood and for Lorcana. If I could point you to one game, it would always be Flesh and Blood, because it is such a beautiful experience with a fantastic community. But I can't not say that about these 5 games. They're all great, which is why I put them on this list, because I believe in them long term, and I think that they will be great for the foreseeable future. So if you enjoy this type of content, make the number go slightly higher. We like to make numbers go up on this channel, because numbers going up makes everyone a little bit more happy. And if you want to support me directly, consider becoming a patron on Patreon so that I can make more videos like this for you. You provide the possibilities for that. You make it possible. So thank you all, patrons. As always, everybody, thanks for watching.